Hey, it's Lancaster Woodturners Weekly Coffee Hour number 263 for July the 24th, 2025. And my name's John Kelsey. I'll be your moderator. And for anyone who's stumbled into this on YouTube, you can find most of our videos on my channel. There's a playlist devoted to Woodturners Coffee Hour. My channel is John Kelsey Artisan, and they're also listed on the Lancaster Club site, LancasterAreaWoodturners.org. And that's because this is an official activity of Lancaster Area Woodturners. And most of y'all on screen are members, and the rest of y'all who aren't, who come around regularly, we will encourage you to join during the fall membership season. Anyway, you're welcome to stay without being a member. We just like to chat. And the more people who show up and bring us interesting things to look at, the more fun it is. So that's how it's played. I know there's some stuff in the room that wants to get shown, although I don't see any hands yet. I'm going to show a little where I'm at for a minute first here. Well, I know we got to do club news. Any club news out there from you club guys? Active club guys?
Hi, John.
Hi.
Yeah, we had the Susquehanna Woodturners meeting in early July. We had quite a lot of wood available.
What, it was a wood swap? Is that the deal?
We had so much wood, we didn't know what to do with it.
So in other words, you took home more wood than you brought.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay.
But in any case, just a note for everyone, the Woodcraft Turn for the Troops will be November 8th and 9th.
That's a ways off. You're getting a jump on that.
It's a ways off, but put that on your calendar.
Okay, well, speaking of calendar, we got Lancaster, Mawat's Mid-Atlantic Woodturners Symposium coming up in September. That's coming up sooner now, and I think that the discount registration is still in effect. It's a wonderful 3 days, very effective, small-sized, very, very intense event. The world-class demonstrators, the people from Germany who turned the I lose names. Hans Weissflog and his son, I think, are going to be there, among a number of other excellent world-class turners. So that's coming up in September, and anybody who can get to it should go. It's easy if you live in Lancaster or within an hour of us. It's the convention center downtown. Any other club stuff?
John, just to comment on this, is the last year it's going to be in the downtown convention center. Next year it's going to be held out in close to the malls, out across from it's in the Lancaster area still, but it's not going to be downtown anymore.
Oh, there is a convention center out there, isn't there, in one of the hotels? A big meeting space.
Yeah, and it was one they looked at initially, but the hotel had a problem, but they've rebuilt the whole space and everything like that. So it's coming, and it will be all on one floor, not nearly as much traffic, and it'll be just, so
yeah.
Regardless.
I remember that place was pretty ratty, and it underwent a complete renovation in the last couple of years.
Yes.
Hey, the Nittany Valley Woodturners had their demonstration at Black Mashannon State Park on Saturday, and again, it was very successful. We had 4 stations. We had, of course, we had a live turning demonstration. We had old turnings. We found a bunch of old turnings that people had done, like chairs and baseball bats and rolling pin from 1906, which was kind of fun. And then we also had a display of our current turnings, which was a big hit, especially a piece by Mr. Doug Reeser himself, and that he had donated to my wife, or given to my wife as a gift, which was very nice. And then we also had a station for the tops. We gave out about 50 tops, and we had some that were colored, and we also had colored pencils so they could color or colored pens so they could color their own. So the kids really liked that. So very successful. We got good feedback from the park rangers, and it's called Friends of Black Mashannon State Park. So we were pretty happy. We're going to be invited again next year. It'll be our 4th year. And we have an upcoming event in October. We're going to Reed's Gap State Park to do the same thing.
All right. more club stuff? Okay, I'm going to grab the floor for a second just to show you progress on what I've been up to. I'm going to do a very quickie share screen, see if it comes up here. There. That's just a page out of my notebook. I had a stick of macacaba, so I figured let's make 3 boxes with the top, one of them being end grain, one of them being face grain, and one of them showing side grain, and just see how they look. And I also wanted in that box to try out something I've been pushed on here, especially by Doug, to try and make a box where it only holds itself shut when the grain is all lined up, and can you see all that? So I made the 3 boxes, and I'm going to end the share now and show you the boxes. So here's the 3 boxes, and they're they look very, very different. Now let me see if I can. Yeah, we're trying to get there.
Hold them closer to your face.
Yeah, you're right. I keep telling people that myself, but I can't get them there. You know, that's the bottom of one. Which one am I showing the bottom? This one, the mirroring image. They look. 2 of them look the same, and one looks very different. The one that's end grain up, that's this one, looks very different. The face grain one, side grain is very, very straight across the top, and the other one has a bit of a cathedral figure. And I put a dot in the center of this one just for decorative, and I'm going to put a ring in this one, a white ring. And they all have pairs of magnets, just a north-south, and then in the lid there's also just a north-south, and the rest of them are dummies. So there's one position where the magnet holds, and it's enough to hold it on. It's not a real strong lid, but it's still tight enough so you can pick the box up by the lid, which is my goal in these. So Doug, this bud's for you. I mean, the figure on this is continuous as you can get it out of sawing it out of a stick that way. This is the edge grain of the stick, and the face grain of the stick, same deal. There's 2 active magnets inside the lid and in the rim of the box, and then there's 6 or so dummy dots. And when you put it on the other way around, it just bumps itself gently off. It won't stay there. In between places, it doesn't grab, and then when you get it to here, where the magnets all line up, it holds. So I'm kind of okay with that one. And this is the end grain one, and I'm okay with that one. I'm okay with this triplet of boxes. This was a deliberate experiment to see if I could make this work, and I'm happy with the little guys. They're not much in the shape. The next round I'm making, using more wood and making them more shapely, and I'm going back to make an end grain. The face and the face grain, and these 2. Oh boy, I just hit a key and lost you all. Just a second. Yeah. These 2, which were, I got this right? No, that's end grain. These 2 will be less stable than the one that's end grain. But anyway, I'm going to make the end grain one. I'm limited by the size of the block in making these anyhow. If I buy the 3x3 sticks. This I can make as long as I want to, so now I'm going to working some more on the shape, now that I feel I've got real good control of the magnets and a good decorative effect that hides them. So that's me on it.
John, rotate the end grain one so you can see all sides, because I love the grain showing on that one. I mean the side grain. Yeah, there you go. Ooh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are the lids interchangeable?
No, they're all a little different. Because I don't make these really by measurement anymore. I just make them by eye, and so they all come out a little bit different. I'm trying to train myself to just go in and whale them out. And still, the total investment in a box it's getting to be under 3 hours. It's closer to 2.5, but I would like to get it down to an hour.
So John, I just wanted to comment. First of all, excellent job. I also found that if I put 4 magnets in, but one was reverse polarity, and the other 3 were correct, you get a stronger thing. And it still does it, and it won't click into any other position other than the one that's correct position. So if you want to increase this,
real well, it flaps this way up and down.
Exactly. So it only really seats on the one position. If you just reverse the polarity on just one set of magnets.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of. I did experimenting on this a few years ago, and then put it aside. And I've been doing a lot of experimenting now with those
Yeah.
combos. Quite subtle the effects you can get, really.
But it's a lot of fun when it happens, though.
Yeah, and I've noticed that I've entered these things in exhibitions several times. They never get juried in because they can't see it happen, even though I give them videos. But I've noticed that when people have these boxes, they like them. They play with them like fidget toys. They
Yeah.
spin them around, let the lids click down, and yeah. So I like that. Any other comments, questions,
Yeah.
advice?
Hey,
Oh, sorry.
yep, go ahead.
Oh, John, I was going to ask, when you go bigger, will you have to put more magnets in the top, or will the two still hold it?
I'm using 3/16 diameter magnets by 1/8 of an inch long right now. I'm in one series I'm making in the shop right now. I'm fooling around again with 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch diameter and 1/8 inch long. So that gives a stronger hold, but it also weakens. You need more meat here for that. You know, it's a question of how much. I'm always after having less meaty, and if you make the magnets are long, then the wood gets. You know, it's like that. It's a dance. Because I don't want them showing inside here, so I'm boring just into this wall a little ways. And in my last step, I pare down to the little shape that's in here in the curve, leaving it a little thicker right here where the magnets are. So there's just a little bit of wood on the inside of the magnets. And then on the inside here, you only see two, because there are only two. You don't see any right now. Wait a minute. There you can see one. There.
Yeah.
So the dots on the outside are just dummies, except for the two active ones.
Thanks.
Yeah, yeah, John. On those, what glue did you use? I've had some pull out, or the magnets would come out. Are they a tight fit, or?
The magnets are a tight fit in the hole, and what I do is I put a drop, I get them in exactly at the elevation I want them, above or below the surface, because they have to be below the surface, leaving myself enough room for one shaving after I get all the excess glue off. So I have them down about a slender 16th, a fat 32nd below the surface. Is the ideal position, but they can be deeper in a lot of situations, especially when you want room for the lid. You get them they're almost inside here. They're quite deep here. One drop of CA glue, let that set, thin CA. Then come back and pack the hole with baking soda and drip on as much CA as it'll take. And it makes this hard white cement that fills the hole. And I have not had any movement or failures or holes coming out with that since I started using that method. Before that, if it's just CA glue or just pressed in the hole, or if the magnet will work its way out with seasonal movement, and then the box will jam or it'll come loose in your pocket. You know, it makes a mess. So it's been a long haul to get to this method, but the method really does work.
Yeah, I've had them come out, but that's the first I heard baking soda, to
Baking
use.
soda has the effect of curing CA glue the same as the CA accelerator does, and it doesn't make
Oh,
the gas. And it just happens to be, I don't know what the chemistry is, but it happens to be that it kicks off the same reaction, so it instantly goes
okay,
higher. Yeah. So
okay.
my ploy is to get as much glue and baking. You got to tamp it down, because otherwise it hangs up on the wood fibers in there sometimes.
Okay.
And when I'm in the mid stage, the inside of the box is pretty much made. The outside is just square blanks, and there's just glue everywhere, glue and baking soda everywhere.
Yeah, thanks, John.
I've also tried dyeing the baking soda, but I haven't got an effect that I like yet. The plain white I like best. It looks like bone, and it feels like bone. The thing is, what I've seen a lot of people do with magnets is they leave the magnet either at the surface, in which case it scrapes against the other magnets and deteriorates, or they put it down and leave a space there, and then it collects schmutz, and you can't get that schmutz out of there. This is clean. You can wipe this off. It doesn't collect stuff. If I have this in my, it behaves much more It's not a rogue magnet loose among your car keys.
Is that an Osmo finish on there?
Osmo, 2 Osmos. And I think that's all it's going to get. I like the Osmo. I like the feel of it. It's, yeah.
John,
One
is there any
Osmo
way?
applied on the lathe as we go. As I complete each surface, while it's still on the lathe and still on its stub, I give it a whack of Osmo and spin the lathe up high speed and buff it hard with a towel. And then I wipe on a coat, one or two more coats while I have them sitting in a paper kind of office basket so they can just sit there and air can get all around them.
John, is there any way to dye color or something that baking soda so that it's not white but another color?
I have done a lot of experiments with that. I've been using Transtint. You take a little baking soda and a drop of Transtint and mix it up good, and then that dry and repulverize it, and then mix it with white baking soda. And you can get a whole range of colors, but then I haven't achieved a pleasant effect yet. Part of the reason for that is that the amount of that stuff that's above the magnets themselves is variable, and sometimes it's fairly close to the surface, and then it goes translucent. So the color is inconsistent, not in a pleasant way. Whereas with the white, it stays consistent for some reason. So that's where I've so far stayed with white, but I'm going to do more experiments.
Have you tried dyeing the CA glue?
No.
That might help with the blotchiness you're talking about.
It's possible. I don't like. Wouldn't it set up while you messed with it? I don't want to dye a whole bottle full. I don't know.
Well, you could, it's maybe worth a try just to do an experiment with some alcohol dyes and CAC because
Yeah.
water is usually the trigger for CA to set up. That's why the baking soda sets up so fast because it does contain moisture, right?
I guess that's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
That's my understanding of it anyway.
it doesn't outgas the way that the accelerators do. When you do the accelerant, you get that awful gas you don't want to breathe. The baking soda doesn't do that.
Yeah.
John, have you ever thought about doing using powdered dyes?
Yes, I've experimented with them as well. And I think there's a lot of promise of mixing powdered dyes into the baking soda. And I've been experimenting with pearlescent greens and blues. I've got a bottle of those. I just don't have any results that are worth looking at yet.
Okay. The thing about the baking powder is that it's the pH of the baking powder that triggers the reaction in superglue.
Is that it?
Yeah.
It oddly makes this hard cement. I mean, it's really a hard material once it's set up.
Absolutely.
I guess it's an acrylic compound cement.
You can almost weld two pieces together by piling baking soda up and then applying CA glue.
Really? Well, I'll have to try that too. Very interesting stuff. I guess that's me for today. Let's see who's got their hand up. Now, I know Dave Potts. You wrote me the other day about a fellow you know who recently passed, and you showed us some work. You ready to tell the rest of them about all that?
Don't really have too much to say. I just wanted to let you know. I don't know if you had any personal contact with Bob Vaughn at all or not.
I didn't, but I know a lot of these guys here did. So give us the information if you would.
Okay, Bob Vaughn was a past contributor to Fine Woodworking magazine. I think just turned 80, I believe, and passed away this past week. He actually set up his own business doing school shop repairs for machinery. He had an area around Roanoke, Virginia, and did most of the school shop machinery upkeep there.
I now remember that guy. Yeah, very interesting fellow.
Yeah, and a lot of his work with the Fine Woodworking magazine was tool related, building your own knife setting jigs,
Yep.
building your own 1x42 strip sander,
Yep.
as well as maintenance issues too with machinery. Past number of years, he's been involved with the Old Woodworking Machine Group and vintagemachinery.org, doing work with restoration of antique machines. Also a member of his woodturning club down near Roanoke. He did run out to Crystal Springs, Illinois, each year for what do you call it? A meeting they had out there for the old woodworking group machinery for, it's called Arn Fest. It was at the Railroad Museum out there, and it was a 4 or 5 day long set of seminars doing things like pouring Babbitt bearings, restoring machinery, painting, research on machines, things like that. So he had that side of him. Plus, he's involved with the the repair of more modern machines as well too.
Well, we back in the '80s, we published a lot of stuff about building your own machines. It was the Carter presidency, and things were kind of tight, and then everything opened up with the Chinese machines came on the market, and interest in making your own machines dropped way off.
Yeah, yeah. Well, at that point, there was a sort of repair issue as well too, and now especially too with parts being not available through the manufacturers. Delta parts are, not being produced anymore. It used to be you could buy a Unisol built in 1948 or whatever, and you go right to the parts dealer and get a part for it. And what was built today would match that part back then. But that's not the case anymore, sadly.
You can usually sometimes find them on eBay.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And there are people that are remaking the old parts as well, too.
Yeah, I have an old Atlas lathe that I was restoring, and it has a broken couple of gears, so I need a gear set. And I found one on eBay. Now people are remaking gear sets for World War II vintage Atlas lathes.
Yes, yeah, yep. Yeah, there are even people now doing 3D printed parts that are kind of replica things for places where you don't need that stress, like the lights that go on the old Delta machines. People reprinting them in 3D plastic, and they get spray painted, and there's no stress involved. As long as you're using a LED for the light bulb, it looks normal, and it's not going to be affected by heat from an old lamp. So.
Okay. You had some work that you sent me pictures of.
Yeah, I didn't make a slideshow or anything. I could kind of show you. Always not satisfied with what's around here. I got involved with looking at some German YouTube videos, and I found this little. It's a put it right here
in front of your face, right?
Yep. So this was my first iteration of this about a year ago. It's a lidded box with an offset lid, and I got involved with a AAW forum called Box Swap that runs each July. And in this one, in this Box Swap, you submit your name, and they match you up with somebody, either internationally or across the United States, depending on how much you want to spend for shipping. And you build them a box, and somebody else builds you a box. And by the end of July, we're supposed to mail these off. So this is my first one I did. Again, I did it about a year ago. It's all cherry for one piece of wood. So I decided to, well, actually, I was going to do one out of blackwood. I bought a couple of the clarinet bells, got one all turned out, and kind of crack in it as I was finishing it up. So I abandoned that, and I decided to make a...
Put it back in front of your face.
Second, yep.
Put them both in front of your face. We don't see them. All we see is a blur.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So this is my new one right here, and it's very similar to the other one, just upscaled a little bit.
Can we see inside the lid?
Sure.
Open it up. Okay, so that lid just sits down in a recess, yeah?
Yep, lid sits down in the recess, and it came from the same piece of wood. So in the log, the lid was like this.
Right.
And it's turned off center with a chuck. Not a duck's chuck, but similar to that. And I did flock the bottom of it in black.
Is that a bored hole or a turned hole?
It's a bored hole, and then I use a box scraper because it is tapered. It's tapered, is a little wider on the bottom, so I use a box scraper to get it so thickness was uniform. And on the bottom, I just have a little logo. Yep, right there.
There
And
we
I
got
guess
it.
that's upside down.
Now, what do you write that stuff with? A pen or a
Laser engraver.
laser engraver? Okay.
Yeah,
So you have a laser engraver that doesn't care about height. In other words, you can raise and lower that.
correct. Yes. Yep. It's an Epilogue from 2014. I actually, they're in my school shop. I have two. I have a 2004 Epilogue and a 2014 Epilogue. So I can fit on the new one, the newer one. I can fit a something about 10 inches tall in there.
Is the bottom a disc you just glue in?
No, it's I just put the whole container in there, and the Epilogue will engrave on that bottom there.
So you have a template set up that you just fill in the blanks for each piece.
All I do is just draw a circle that's the diameter of this, and then I drop the piece, the box in there, and then I put my text in the circle, and I can make the text wrap around the circle, whatever I want to do in my software. I use Corel Draw as the software, and I can make it do almost anything. In fact, I got this done, and I realized it didn't say box swap, so I added the box swap text later on.
So do you have a computer in your workshop, or do you take a laptop down there, or you do it? What do you do?
This is done in my classroom at school.
Okay.
I have 25 or 28 computers in there, but there's one that's tied directly to this machine.
So you teach technology in a junior college or a high school?
In a high school. It's a 9 to 12 high school in New Jersey here. This is my 45th year. I think it's my last year. I taught woodshop for a couple of years, and after you do 120 projects in woodshop a day, you don't really want to go home and do another project. So I switched to graphic design about my second year, and I taught combination graphics and wood, and I taught graphics for the next 40 some years, 38 years alone, and an engineering capstone class as well. And the past 2 years, I've been doing a metal shop class as well as my graphics. So
is your shop classes coming back?
They are. They're here in New Jersey. We do have one school down in South Jersey that's actually added 2 shop classes. They're doing a lot of work with building construction. So besides the regular wood shop, they have a building construction class where the kids are building sheds, doing contract work, things like that. Contractor work. Our school, we have 6 periods of wood shop. This year we had to add another teacher. So we have a science teacher that was a home remodeler. He's going to move over and teach 1 section of wood shop as well. We have 5 sections of metals. We have 8 sections of graphics. We have a CAD program, 3 levels of engineering.
So is this all part of the trying to return to teach people how to do this stuff to make a living? Like they all shut down all the wood shops 20, 30 years ago.
Personally, I think what happened was the administrators back in the 60s and 70s, they were World War II guys. So they knew about doing things and making things. And then as we got to the newer set of administrators, they didn't have that background, so they didn't really see the value. And we then got to the point where people were saying, well, you don't need to teach them how to work with machines. You can just teach them the theory and do problem solving and make bridges and do the math and things like that. Well, there's no projects for the kids to take home, no artifacts from the work, nothing to share with your family. So that didn't really have a lasting effect. And that's when we started to lose programs. Now a lot of schools are getting back to that, building, creating, being a maker, doing things and sharing your work. And it makes it more relatable too as well. Up in North Jersey near Washington, New Jersey, there's an abandoned silk mill. Somebody has set up a program called New Jersey School of Woodworking, and they are now running Saturday programs there, or not Saturday, weekday programs there during the summer, and kids, parents, kids on summer break, whatever, can sign up for classes there. And they just did a whole series of bandsaw boxes. There's about 6 or 7 teachers there. You pay for the class. It's not inexpensive, but you're getting an education, you're learning something new and working with a professional to, do a product in an air-conditioned wood shop that's well equipped.
I keep hearing more and more of that. Wood shop and electronics class where we actually built radios saved my ass in high school, I'll tell you.
Yeah, yeah, yep, yes.
All right.
So that's about it.
Questions for Dave?
Yes, I've got one concerning the engraving on your box, the one you
Yes.
show. When I do laser engraving, I normally get black letters or black lettering, and in the zoom picture, it looked like wood, but not black on the bottom of your box. Is that zoom that does that, or isn't it black, the lettering you did on
It's
your
not.
box?
Nope, it's not black. It's just engraved in there. It's a matter of the power and the speed,
Okay.
regulating that. So I don't want to go too deep because I have gone through the bottom of the box before. So I didn't want to be that guy. So you just regulate your power and your speed. And my idea is just to get it so it's down enough. If you want to get it black, I can go over it with a black wax, and that black wax can fill in. But I'd rather do that way than to do it through burning. The other problem is this was already finished. It was finished with Osmo, and I finished it 5 days ago, I guess, the last coat. I didn't want to do anything that was going to disturb the rest of the finish as well either.
Yeah, okay. I can see that. So the trick is, if you don't want the lettering to be black, to kind of have low power and low speed, or high speed? High speed and
Higher
low
speed,
power?
higher speed. Yep, higher speed. You don't want it to dwell as long on the surface.
Yeah, that makes sense. So high speed and low power, right?
Right.
And do you go over the printing do you use more than one pass on that print, or just do it in one pass?
This was just one pass. I had to go in and reset up my machine yesterday when I did it because we just got our floors waxed and everything. So the machine's not exactly sitting right. So as that rasters back and forth, there's a little shake involved. In fact, when I did my test print, I could tell it had moved a little bit. So I just do one pass. That way I don't have to worry about it not setting up.
So does the machine head go up and down like a drill press, for example, or
I can set the height on it. Yes.
what goes up and down? The laser head?
That would be the Z axis. On this one, the table drops down.
The table
On mine,
drops
the table
down.
drops down. Yeah.
Because I was thinking if I could buy a lot cheaper machine that didn't have that built in and make my own platform underneath it to raise turnings up and down so they were always at the same plane for engraving. Is that plausible?
That is plausible. Yes. Yeah. Yep. And I think you can even do that with like the laser pecker.
Well, that's I'm looking for a cheaper solution. Right now I'm using I was wood burning. I don't like the result. I can't do it fine enough. So now I'm using a vibrating pen and I'm getting it fine enough, but I like it's jerky herky. And you said you apply wax. I'm thinking after the Osmo, cut that in then and then wax and then wipe it off. And so the wax is only down in the wood and then one more Osmo on top of that is what I'm thinking.
Right. Yeah. That sounds doable. Yes.
Yeah.
I suspect that you're using CO2 lasers, correct?
Yes. This is a CO2 laser. Yes.
And Kai, yours is probably a diode? Kai, are you there?
He's there. He's looking for his microphone. Just muted. You're muted.
Yeah. I suspect,
Yes.
like I have two. You're using a diode laser, correct, Kai?
I use a diode laser, yes,
Yeah,
and that
and I
blackens
think-
the writing.
I think that's the difference between Dave's and the one you use. I have diodes too, and for whatever reason, diodes seem to make whatever they burn black.
Hmm.
Even like I have two different powers, and even with the air assist, what you burn still turns black. You don't have the smoke residue on the sides, but yeah. And John, both my lasers are DIY lasers. Other than I buy the module, and one of them I have it set up so the table moves up and down under computer control, and the other one is I raise and lower the module just with a screw setup like you would on a CNC but it doesn't have a motor.
So you have a pretty big investment in gizmos to make that work.
Actually, it's it's pretty cheap.
I mean,
Like it,
I mean, a lot of fool around to get it to work right.
well, I've been playing with that kind of stuff. I built my first CNC back in the mid '80s, so I've been at it for a while. So it's
Okay, so what do you use for the cross slot? For the axes. What do you use to drive the thing? Is it a thread and a
okay. So the platform I built on my last one is it's set up on 4 all-thread rods, one on each corner. And then I use a small number 25 chain, which is smaller than bicycle chain, driven by a stepper motor, and 3D printed gears on the all thread rod, and it just
okay?
Raises and lowers. It's very accurate too. Like I can within a millimeter.
Barry does a lot of that stuff with the tape that drives printing heads. That doesn't stretch at all,
Yeah, you can use the timing belt type of stuff too. I just happen to have some of this chain around, so
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So I would disagree with Mike a little bit. I've used my laser on birch all the time, and it will be brown. And I'm using diode lasers, Mike, as you know.
Yep.
But the key to doing it on a curved surface is having something like a CNC and the right software. So that's where I got involved with our German friend many years ago, and he modified his program so that my Z-axis would track the surface of the piece, so I could engrave on the side of a curved vessel, no problem.
What power laser?
I would encourage you just to play with speeds and feeds with your LED laser, and you'll probably be able to get it brown.
Jeff, when you're doing on a curved surface, what is the piece rotating under the laser, or is the laser following the piece? What's going on there?
Both. So many moons ago, like about 8, I recognized that LED lasers, their problem is their depth of focus is so short. It's like several millimeters kind of thing. So the Z-axis of a CNC, it has to be able to follow it up and down. So I use a bit of software called Gerbil Groove, and that fellow you can map the curve. So once I map the curve, then it'll spin a 3-dimensional version of my bowl, for example, and I can have whatever design I want, literally, applied to the surface of that bowl. So the bowl can turn on a rotary axis. The Z can go up and down to follow the curve.
So how is that all coupled together? Is that coupled together with chain like Mike does, or with belting, or what do you do?
With one of my machines, the original one that I built, it's tooth belt like you'd use in a printer, and that's very cheap. And lasers are so light that you don't need anything more complicated than that. With one of my other CNC machines, it's ball screws, of course, but I can put a fairly high-powered spindle on that, and I can also tip the spindle. So not only does it rotate, it'll tip the spindle so it can always have the bit perpendicular to the workpiece, so you get a proper cut.
John, may I share a simple setup for lifting your laser up and down?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, there's a lot of interest in this stuff, and I'm interested too. So
I try to do that.
It's the goal here is to get a gizmo that works, that it's not a huge investment in time and grief to make.
Can you see that?
Yeah, can you make the picture bigger on your screen, like full screen or something?
So I use my column drill and clamp this piece of wood with these 2 angled aluminum pieces to the table, and I can crank up and down the table, and I set my laser.
Back up for a second. You're doing what? What are you doing here? Start over, please.
I just want to lift the laser up and down to get it focused on my workpiece. The bowl you can see on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
that sits on a table. I had to lift it up a little bit, and now I kind of
You
lift.
so you're
I
using the
crank
drill
the
press table, and you crank the drill press table up and down.
yeah, and the laser rests on these two um, aluminum pieces that
Right.
stick out from the wooden bar. So I can use the crank of the drill press table to lift the laser up and down. And I always keep it focused in one plane. So I lift it down until I reach this plane, and then I do my laser engraving.
So
And that's
you're lifting the laser, not lowering, raising, and lowering the workpiece.
yes, yes.
Huh. I'm very impressed. That's exactly the kind of simple gizmo I love.
Yeah, and it really works, and it's inexpensive. So you just need a laser that is open at the bottom, so that you can put your workpiece under it in this way.
And is that a benchtop drill press or a floor model? I can't quite tell. Looks like a benchtop.
It's a benchtop, a big benchtop model. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Very good.
Okay.
Hi,
Yeah.
how do you get the protection glass or whatever in when you're using the laser? Or don't you use a protection yellow?
Yeah, with this laser, there's a protection glass in the front. So if you look at the laser from the front, it is protected, but not on the sides. And what I usually do is start the laser program and then either leave the workshop or work in another part of the workshop, so that I'm not near the laser beam. And I want to buy some glasses to protect my eyes as well, but I have to admit I haven't done it yet. Okay, right, that's it. And just stop the share.
Send the share, yeah. Anybody else on this? Good topic.
Sending consolation, doing something like that is a fantastic idea. On my machines at school, in 2004, my first laser engraver was $22,000. And in 2014, the replacement, which I use both of them still, was $42,000.
42,000.
Yeah, 42,000. They actually gave me 50,000 to spend. I met a Mennonite fellow at a trade show here in New Jersey, and I went out to Churchtown to see his shop. He had two identical lasers side by side, different brands though. I like what he had, but I couldn't fit that machine in my classroom at all. I didn't have doors big enough. I couldn't take a window out, so I bought the second size down. So that was 42,000. So, but yeah, it's a big chunk of change.
Boy, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm using something that's over 10 years old. It gets used every single day of the school year. We do all the trophies, plaques, awards, things like that in the school. So it gets a use. It saves a lot of money in that respect.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, what's the thinking on getting such very much expensive machines versus something that the average student may be able to buy for themselves after they go get a job when they leave school?
At that point, when these were purchased, those machines were not available. 2014, they were just starting to come out. 2004, they were not. There were only two companies in 2004 that were really making commercial lasers, and I went with the Epilogue because it used a USB. The Universal, the other brand, were still using a parallel cable to run the printers. This is back in 2014. The other factor, we do have an ohm tech. It's in one of our classes in school. That's an enclosed machine. A lot of the machines that are not enclosed, they would not pass safety muster. Smoke would come out, set off the in-shop smoke alarms. I don't like fire drills any more than the kids, so we can't have that extra smoke. So all those things have to be kind of factored in. Plus, we need to have something that's not going to be tinkerable, just something that we know we can go to and it works, and then come back again.
What's the wattage of your lasers, Dave?
The big laser is 120 watts. The older laser was a 30 watt, 30 or 35. I don't remember which. I think it's 30 watt.
Yes, you can blast through some pretty thick wood with that 120 job.
Yeah, if I made my vacuum tank here, I cut the lid out 3/4 inch acrylic. It took a couple passes to do that, but yeah,
As
that's
we talk
how I
about
cut that in.
this, as we talk about this, I'm remembering a time, it must have been the mid 80s. I visited some guy who had a laser set up and it had a turntable. The laser was fixed and the turntable went around. The laser went on a radial arm, but otherwise it was fixed. It went in and out, so it went across. And the turntable went around under it, and the laser blasted as the workpiece came by. And so the workpieces were all on this, a whole lot of them on the table, a complicated program that the laser was just flashing on and off, on and off, on and off. And it burned quite deep into the wood, like a 1/16 of an inch deep, with a lot of smoke and a lot of fumes and everything like that. But I was 85. It had to be 84, 85. Does anybody do it that way anymore?
Is it also fair to say, Dave, that going after, when you're in a classroom like that environment, you're not just looking at students that are going to be hobbyists like we are for the rest of our life, but also looking at people who might want to get into the industry in a larger scale. Therefore, the bigger equipment and exposure to that is worthwhile.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah. Yep. We're here to get results and not to have kids to, to tinker and things like that. So they want to see how this works. So not many of our students are going to be doing this like for a hobby kind of thing, but they may be going to work for Lockheed Martin or for an industrial supplier or something like that. So, they need to see the industrial applications as well too. We're not a vocational school; we're a regular school, but we have to kind of recognize where our market is.
A kid who gets into it can go to a local makerspace and see more affordable machines and fool around with them too. Yeah.
Yes, and a kid that can see what this machine does to it, this may spark him to say, "Okay, I'm going to build this myself too."
Sure.
So it's sort of the catalyst to begin that relationship.
Yeah.
So John, you were looking for something that's really inexpensive to put logos on your boxes?
No, what I'm really looking for is inexpensive and simple mechanisms for moving routers and drills up and down and across, so I can make holes and things wherever I want to. And I saw what Mike showed us a couple of weeks ago with a small drill press. I'm shopping for one of those, and I'm thinking of coupling to my lathe on a table so I can cross slide it back and forth and have it drill down wherever I want and rotate the drill in on the face. I'm looking for. Yeah, I'm looking for access tools to give me access to surfaces under more control than I can do by hand.
I have the perfect machine for you.
We were talking about lasers though, so and I had the same problem. So if I can share my screen here, I can show you what I came up with.
You can show us whatever you want to. You got your hand up, and
okay. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, make it bigger though.
That's about as big as I can make it, I think, on this screen because it's just a snapshot. But I've got a laser pecker.
Just a second. Okay.
There's a little laser pecker here, and I mounted it with a camera mount, a quick release camera mount. And I needed to be able to raise things up and down because you can see this stack of wood in the back. Well, that's actually going to get engraved on the very top. It might be 12 or 14 inches tall. So I made this parallel arm system. So I can raise and lower this thing and set it at any angle, but it's a laser pecker, so it only does 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters, so 4 inches square. But if you take a look at my...
So wait a minute, that arm apparatus, that's just like you find on a lamp, isn't it? It's just with bolts. So it stays... Yeah. It
stays wherever you put it. It's not spring loaded. It's just friction held. So the parallel arms, you can move it wherever you want, and then it friction holds because the little laser is so light it doesn't move. But and its focal length is 8 inches, so the laser has to be 8 inches above what it's going to laser engrave. And it's a low power laser, but it does my engraving that I need perfectly. And it's simple and cheap. This cost me nothing, just the bolts. And the laser pecker itself, when I bought it 4 years ago, I think was $500. it doesn't owe me anything anymore because it's just been fantastic. It just works. So I'm going to
Bert,
stop
how did
my
you
share.
attach the laser pecker to that arm?
That's just I mounted a quick release camera mount. I'll stop my share here. How do I there? Stop
What's the
share.
length of the arm also, Bert?
Oh, on these ones here, the arms are about 12 inches long. So I can raise this thing up almost 24 inches straight up. But
Okay, I'm very happy with that. That's a really nice mechanism.
and it's really simple. And it's I didn't make it very fancy because that was a prototype, but I've just got it clamped into a vise so I can put it on my lathe. I can put it on any bench. I can go anywhere I want with this thing. And I also have these parallel arms for hanging my cameras on the lathe, so I can mount the laser on the lathe if I needed to. But here's the what I use it for. I put my logo on everything I build now. It's so quick and easy, and it's a round surface. It'll even at 8 inches, it does a pretty good job. But because we were talking about lasers, that's what we're talking about here. Is I just use it for doing logos and different things that are simple. Anything that'll fit in a 4-inch square. But what I was wanting to show is here's my 2025 Christmas ornament. Christmas in July. I start early because I know I'm going to have to make a bunch, and I got to give Mike Peace a shout out because I went back and watched his video on making little birds, and I'm mounting little birds on these birdhouse ornaments, and everybody that's seen them is loving them. They all want one, so my list of family and friends is getting more and more and more every year.
And if I remember right, the trick there is a little fine piece of wire that's glued in both parts, right, to hold the bird in place.
That's right. There's a wire that's glued in the head, and it goes through the body, and then the wire sticks into the birdhouse. And like I say, the making the birdhouse is easy and doesn't take very much time. Making the birds doesn't take very much time. Assembling the damn things with my big clumsy fingers, that's what takes the time.
Bert, one of the adaptations I've recently started doing is just taking a wood burner and putting a dot for an eye. I find that is better than an eyeless bird.
That's an excellent idea, Mike. I think I'll grab that. What I've done too on these ones here, they don't show it, but what I've done is I wanted to make the heads a little different, so now I use laminations, and the top of the head will be dark, and it's a lamination dark and white. So I wanted to make it look like chickadees. Yeah. So a lot of the ones I'm making now have a black cap chickadee head on them. And these heads are prototypes. They're way too big for this birdhouse. So the ones I'm making now are about half the size of this one. And they have made out of laminations. So I'm trying to simulate chickadees and downy woodpeckers.
And the lamination
it's just fun.
On the body, make it look like wings.
Yes, I've got the newest ones. I have to do the same thing. I'm using laminations so you can have light wings or dark wings. But it's just fun. It just takes a lot of fiddly. I had to get a micro drill to drill the holes. And
why do you care if the bird is in scale with the birdhouse? I mean, it's a fantasy little toy. A bird can be as big as you want. It doesn't matter if it'll fit through the opening.
It's just aesthetically, it just doesn't look right. If the bird is like these things are 3/8 of an inch, and that's 1/8 of an inch too big.
They look right to me. You see.
Hey, Bert, can't you just buy different sized birds on Amazon instead of spending all that time making a tiny little bird?
You want to take all the fun out of it, Bowman. What's the point of that?
Well, actually, you can't buy these kind of birds. I've never found chickadees or downy woodpeckers on Amazon, and then again, the size, you can make these whatever size you want, and it's just fun. Like it's just fun making these things. I got a 24-inch lathe. That's why I need to make these little birds.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the bigger the lathe, the smaller the work. I bet you do it with full-size tools too.
No, actually, I've got miniature tools now. I've got a 1/4-inch skew, and that thing is beautiful for making these small birds. And it's even a little bit big. I was thinking of trying to make a smaller skew for making little bird heads, but the 1/4-inch skew works pretty good as long as it's sharp.
I remember Del Stubbs making wee little goblets and things using full-size skew, full-size rough and gouge. Just the corner of the tool, a little bit of the edge, just to get exactly what he wanted. But that's Bowman,
Anyway,
what would you like us to look at today?
I had an opportunity to mess with some burl, and let me quick share my screen here. Share this. Are you seeing that?
We are.
Yep.
And make it big. Is that
Yeah, it's too
being
big.
seen?
Go back down smaller.
Down smaller?
Wait a minute. Let me see. I might have a strange view artifact on here. Let me.
Yeah.
Is it the thing we see behind you?
Yeah, it is. I was going to show you. It's a burl platter, which I decided to put on I can't talk and switch these things at the same time.
No, just talk about what we see behind you. We see the platter. We saw that it was a platform.
Yeah, it's a burl. It was a burl bowl, but it got a big void on the end as I turned it too big, and so I trimmed it down and used the bottom. I decided to put a base on it, make it like a cake server or a platter or something that's lifted up in the air. And I grabbed some ambrosia maple and put it in the bottom, and that's it. You know, it's kind of like this.
It looks like it's done a lot of moving around since you made it.
Oh, it has. I love and I love when that happens. Burl, I don't know what elephant skin seems like, but I think it is wonderful the way burls move around. Cherry, that's mostly what I work with, burl. The local guy gets me a lot of cherry burls. And I just love the way they move around and develop this feel to them. It's kind of smooth but bumpy, ripply. I call it ripply. I love it.
But it means you got to make it and done. You're not putting that back on the lathe to do a little diddly fiddly.
Yeah, I did put this one back on the lathe on a cold chuck because I needed to smooth out the pedestal.
Okay,
but it worked. It worked. It worked okay. I use a lot of duckies to make sure it doesn't fly anywhere, because obviously the platter is curved. It's turned up on the corners and stuff like that. That was
Jim. I like the way the top of the pedestal kind of curves into the top of the piece. The platter top. I like that.
And that was because I had dyed the bottom. I had dyed it trying to make it look like it matched to the cherry, and it wasn't successful. I put it back on and I had to turn it with a chisel to get some of the lathe out, some of the color out. And then I sanded it real hard and rolled it up smooth into it. Yes, I like that too. I had a black ring in there before at the glue point, but yeah, thank you, Ken. I like that myself. So the other thing is, yeah, shit. Okay.
Jim, before you take that off, I think we ought to all take a look at the negative space on the either side of the piece. The negative space is really neat looking. It would make a fantastic turning.
Good point, Gerald.
You're absolutely right. And the one that I'm behind me, you can see some of that negative space. I overlapped two of them in Photoshop, and that is rather neat space. I agree. Yeah.
You ought to make a piece to exactly fill that. Then you'd have a nice illusion.
Oh, geez, yeah. And obviously, again, I had fun with this.
Oh yeah.
Hey Jim, how did you attach the two parts, the top and the bottom?
Well, I had on the burl plate to turn it, I had a mortise, I guess you call it, inset. So when I turned the ambrosia maple, I left a groove that I can sit in there, so it's glued together where the chuck had been, where the chuck grip had been. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So on the plate you had a recessed tenon.
That's right. Yeah. To turn it, it was a recess for the chuck jaws. And then I just cut a groove in the ambrosia and fit it tight and glued it. So yeah.
Nice work. Nice work.
Looks
All
real
right.
nice.
Thank you very much. I don't know why I get so frustrated with this.
We all do. Can you kill the share? Yeah. Now I can see
Yeah,
all y'all, and I'm going to say goodbye for the week. We'll see you all next week. Been a very interesting hour. That was a good chat about lifting mechanisms and laser peckers.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yep.
Thanks,
John. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, John. Bye
Thank
all.
you,
Take
guys.
care,
Cheers.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, Doug.
Thank you, everybody.
Doug,
Cheers.
one thing,
Bye.
your piece was very
All the best,
popular.
Mike.
I just want you to know.
Thank you very much, Ken. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Talk to you all later. Bye.
Wood shop. Thank God for wood.